Supplies. Happy Tuesday. Yeah, it is Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everybody. And you're wondering, why am I here on a Tuesday evening popping up? Maybe because somebody asked a very good question and it needs to be addressed here. So without further ado, let's get to it and say and do what we normally do here, which is
All right, you want to fight crime? Let's get dangerous.
And yes, it is showtime. Why? Because the question of the day, and this is coming from our good friend over there at Mint Hunter Comics, James over there. He actually posted up a video not too long ago, which pretty much asked the question. And I got in the middle of it. Let me get myself out the way. And you could go ahead and watch the whole thing here. And the title is a little bit deceptive. He said, "Why does no one collect Wonder Woman?" And it's more done tongue in cheek and everything here. But he was asking the question about more so that as he made the transition from being a collector to being a full-time seller, he has clientele out there that's specifically looking for Wonder Woman books, and and they were looking for things that were like Silver Age and older. And he's coming into all these different collections and everything. And as he getting these newer collections in, he's noticing that there is a lack of Wonder Woman books coming through the collections and everything that he's getting. It's almost as if nobody's really collecting the older Wonder Woman stuff. And he's up here thinking, long story short, he gave a couple of, if I could say, theories. One would be that is something geographically going on as far as where the collections are actually happening, or where their collections are, because he was asked somebody else that's in California about, hey, how come there's a lack of Wonder Woman books, and the person in California kind of scoffed at him and laughed at him. And I was like, yeah, I wouldn't say that that's a good source here as far as the answer to that question, as far as the scarcity of silver and golden age Wonder Woman books here. And then he also made mention about the difference in the history. And that's where I'm kind of want to talk about a little bit more so, but also bring out some other points here, because you guys who know about my channel know that I am a avid Wonder Woman collector. And when I say an avid Wonder Woman collector, it's more along the lines I'm getting close to less than 150 issues away from having everything from Wonder Woman 1 from like the 1940s to now. So this was like right up my alley to do a video response on this here. So let me first start out by mentioning one of the things that I noticed, and this is just from my experience here. I can't speak for everybody else's as a Wonder Woman collector. People tend to hold on to a lot of the Silver and Golden Age Wonder Woman books because it's not because of scarcity, it's because of availability. They're not easily replaceable. For example, just to give you an idea of my oldest Wonder Woman book, and I'll have to take it out the plastic here. This is my oldest Wonder Woman book. This is Wonder Woman number 9 from 1944. Now, just to give you an idea, the first 10 Wonder Woman issues are pretty much keys. Issue number 9, oddly enough, is a key, and the key about this book is this is the actual first Giganta. Now, the Giganta that's in here is nowhere close to the Giganta that we have in the modern age here. But the Giganta that we have in Wonder Woman 9 was the actual prototype to eventually get to the redhead that we have as right now. And surprisingly enough, as people scoff and everything about Giganta, yes, her original origin is that she is a evolved female gorilla. It happened here in this issue. A character by the name of Dr. Zool was dealing with all these different experiments, trying to figure out ways to evolve animals to their more intelligent forms. And he had the machine. He had a female gorilla gorilla, and he put it in the machine, and it eventually evolved into a pretty much almost like over 7 foot tall redheaded female. And it was that's pretty much what this whole issue is about. It's about dealing with getting Giganta acclimated and everything to the modern world. But needless to say, one of the things that really grinds my gears about this issue is that this being an older issue and I wouldn't say harder to come by, but it's not as common to come by. You expect this issue to be a heck of a lot of money. It's not. This barely is $1,000 book. And this is and I'm going to show you guys here if I can get the glare out. It is a 4.5. My 4.5 number 9 is less valuable, according to most grading sites, to my X-Men number 1, which is at a 1.8. Yes, that is my X-Men number 1 at a 1.8. This is almost 5 times as valuable as this book, even though this one is harder to come by. So that makes your head kind of scratch here. And hopefully, that gives you an idea of where things may go here, James, as far as my explanation of your question, the answer to my question here. So as an owner of something of this old here, and mind you, there's books older than this. One of the things that most people don't know about Wonder Woman is that the original Sensation comic series predates the Wonder Woman title. And those are, I think, really the issues that I think kind of made things kind of go a little bit to its skew, because towards the tail end of the Sensation run, Wonder Woman was more in the romance category than the action adventure here. Wonder Woman stayed more of an action adventure title, but the Sensation comics towards the end became more of the romantic between her and Steve Trevor type deal. And eventually they had to get away from that and yada, yada, yada. So as the years went on, because again, that's like I said, that's my oldest one. They started to build up the Wonder Woman lore in such different ways here. Like, for example, this is issue number 23 of Wonder Woman here. And this is like the first time that they tried to chronologicalize her childhood. Now, this has been, back and forth over the history and everything. And this is the original molten history about, Wonder Woman's childhood and everything to that magnitude. And this predates the construct of Diana being Wonder Girl and Wonder Tot. So, this is, again, another key issue here, but yet, hard to come by because, again, not too many people let go of these types of issues from the golden age of Wonder Woman. And I began to understand why. And, this is the type of questions that I asked, another comic book seller by the name of Randy and Michelle Tusha, who owns a store called Collector Paradise over there in Cabot, Arkansas. And yes, notice that you're on the East Coast. I'm here in the Midwest in Chicago, and now I'm talking about other collectors that's further, getting more and more further west, that's in Arkansas. So part of the thing that you were talking about is like as you move more and more west, you probably see more and more collectors of Wonder Woman, but we don't give up these books that quickly, mainly because of the availability. Now, here's another key, and this is 28. This is the first time we ever had the first introduction of Villainy Inc. Now, Villainy Inc. today is far different than what we have here, but this is the original here. And yes, there she is right there. Because when most people think of Cheetah, they think about what Perez did. But no, there's Cheetah right there. That's how she was back in the day. There's Cheetah there. There's Giganta there. I forgot who's that there. Then we have Clea, and I forgot who the other person is. But this is the first Villainy Inc. First appearance of Villainy Incorporated or Villainy Inc. in Wonder Woman lore. So there's a lot of issues, and like I said, these are books that I actually ended up winning in auctions at Heritage way back in the day that I eventually got graded here. And then we got this one here where we have the Holiday Girls appearance after so many years. This is from 1965. That the whole thing about the Holiday Girls in the 1940s has gone away, and Wonder Woman has went through all these different changes. By this time, we have Wonder Tide and everything. And like you said, by the numbers, this is where it was kind of floundering a bit towards the tail end of the 1960s. It wasn't doing bad, but it wasn't doing good either. And there's a lot of different stories. They were trying to figure out different ways to move everything together and whatnot. And it was surviving. It was surviving everything. But again, these are still books that most collectors of Wonder Woman would not give up because they're hard to come by. Now, 156 is, you could come across this a little bit easier. You could come by this a little bit easier, but right around the 150s or 140s is where you kind of have like that breaking point where it's like anything before like 140, it's going to be a hard pressed time to find an abundance of issues that's rarely available without having to pay tooth and nail for it. And when I say rarely available, we're going from being able to get something like this from like, for like, anywhere between $20 to $50 to maybe in like the 120s and 130s, 120s, 110s. That $50 price tag is now looking more closer to a $100 price tag in decent condition. When I say decent condition, I'm talking about in conditions that are 7 and above. So because of the fact that collectors don't let these things go readily, it drives up the price here. So like I said, as a Wonder Woman collector, that we go into the 1970s now. The 70s, the tail end of the 60s and the 70s, there was a revolution dealing with Wonder Woman. Because remember, tail end of the 1960s, they did the depowered Wonder Woman. They had the I King portion of it where she was depowered, she was running a dress shop and everything. The feminist movement took hold, and they found out about it, and they pitched a big fit and everything to that magnitude, and they restored Diana's powers by the 1970s. And by 73, we ended up having first Nubia. Yeah, I know that the one that you probably have is better than the 6.0, but at least we had the Nubia coming into play here, which is the twin sister of Diana. And a lot of good stories came out of that as a whole here. So slowly after they did all of these newer changes to restore her powers and everything to that magnitude, the majority of the cast from Wonder Woman from back then really has changed. So it's like Wonder Woman was doing, feel like I said, numbers wise, rather poorly because they couldn't go back to the main, if I could say, her main rogues gallery, because a lot of the lore has been changed where she's more in modern day society as opposed to ancient Greek, and a lot of the villains that we had back in like the 1940s didn't work in modern day 1970. So we had like her finding like all these different creatures and all these different monsters and everything. Eventually, they did enough where they got to the 300th issue in volume one, and they end up ending the series at 329 here. And this is kind of like a minor key. I think this is a crossover for the Crisis as well. So they pretty much ended the series when the crisis was coming to an end. And like you stated before, here comes, as you call it, your champion. Here comes your champion, aka George Perez, with his Wonder Woman #1. Now, what's the significance of his Wonder Woman #1 as opposed to anything else here? He restarted the lore back to ancient Greece. So he tied everything back to a lot of the things that was going on in the 1940s. He kind of reinvented a lot of the characters. He actually defined what Amazon living was and what it's like to be at Amazon in the bigger scheme of things in the long run, which got a lot of people interested in Wonder Woman back in the 1980s because a lot of that stuff was never explained in continuity in the original Volume 1 series. Now, here's the other thing. Another reason why a lot of people don't recognize a lot of the Silver and Golden Age. Most people who are Wonder Woman fans, or at least modern Wonder Woman fans, only know as far back as this. They don't know a lot of the Bronze Age and Silver Age and Golden Age stuff. Their knowledge begins and ends here because this is the stuff that is being talked about more than the original Molson stuff. So when it comes to collecting, people only collect mainly what they know about. They know a lot more about the Perez stuff. And that, like I said, it makes it easier and more palatable once you know that what you're collecting and everything, and it makes it 10 times easier as you go along, and then as artists and stuff grow and move on and everything, you get those popular things like the Adam Hugheses and everything and everybody like that to get involved with the books, and eventually it grows and grows and grows and grows. But the major reason why you don't get a lot of them in collections per se is because the average collector, it doesn't matter if they're on the East Coast or the West Coast, the average collector really doesn't know silver and golden age Wonder Woman like that to really collect it. You have to like really seek it out, and I mean truly seek it out. It's not like I could jump on, and it's not like I jump on eBay and buy these issues like that. I have to literally look at auction houses on the level of like Heritage to find people who have stashed these types of books in their collection, and they hold on to it. And it's like even myself, I hold on to my golden age stuff and my silver age stuff. I'm not planning to sell it anytime soon, and that makes it kind of worth the long thing here. And oh, Jake is here. Hey, Jake. I surmise that collectors are getting into it during trends to do it out of recency or mere exposure biases. Yeah, yeah. But the question that James from Indiana Comics posed is that as he is a now a comic book seller. He actually has a brick and mortar store, and he's been buying collection after collection after collection after collection. He does not see the older Wonder Woman stuff at all. He see a lot of the George Perez stuff. He sees a lot of more modern Wonder Woman stuff. But from Molten to the end of Volume One, it's kind of like a hodgepodge. And he's saying that when it comes to Silver Age Wonder Woman, he only had like 5 issues, and it's like, yeah, that's pretty much what it's like because people who are like me who collect Wonder Woman, we have a hard tendency to give up on these books here. Now, recently on Whatnot, I have sold some Golden Age books, some of my extra not Golden Age, some of my extra Silver Age books that I have, but they're not in the best condition either. And I know how people nowadays are getting snobbish and more snobbish about condition, and they don't understand about availability. Sometimes there's not the best available book out there, which means that, oh, I want to get Wonder Woman 100 in a 9.8. It's like there's not a 9.8 out there. You could look at the census and see that there's not a 9.8 out there, and I doubt that anybody has it raw at a 9.8. So you have to try to find something that's close enough, or be a collector like me. It's like until I could get a better copy, I'm going to take what's available because my whole thing is I want to get the whole entire run here. Like they enter the market at a landmark time when they got into it, but shy from going back. Yeah. Hmm. And that's where we're at right now. I think that's kind of like what he's talking about, because like he has people who wants to get these older books, but he's kind of like stymied because everybody that he knows on the East Coast that he buys these collections from don't have these books. And he was thinking that it was geographical. And I was like, no, it's not really geographical. It's just that us Wonder Woman collectors, knowing about the availability of these books, we tend not to give these books up right away. We don't sell these books like willy nilly. Now, once we get maybe like two or three of an issue, we might sell off one and we put one back into the wild for those that really want to hold on to it. Just like right now, I could go into this one stash that I have for Whatnot, and I put the stuff out there. I do have some like Golden Age stuff, not Golden Age, Silver Age stuff that I have or Whatnot, but it's more the common stuff. My more issues that are keys, they go like that. They go like that if it's Silver Age. But the more common silver stuff, it kind of sits per se. So it is what it is. Yeah, it's a rough time getting silver and golden age anyway. Exactly. Uh and their supply is severely limited. That it's understandable if holding on to these issues, wanting that to unlock, and yeah, I get it. I get it. Keys or comments. Yeah, exactly. So, that's the only reason why I was doing this video, is mainly to give him a point of reference of why these things are happening. Because again, like I stated before, there should be no reason. There should be no reason why this book out of 4.5 is sitting at just below $1,000 when my 1.5 X-Men #1 is 5 times as valuable. This is an older book, and the quality of it, the availability of it. And I don't say rarity because it's not rare. There's a different definition between rare and available for purchase. Wonder Woman #9 is not really that available for purchase. And when you do run across it, you're going to be paying top dollar for it. And when I say top dollar, if you're new to comic book collecting, it will be over $800 plus. So we're looking at, I would say safely if you're looking at buying a Wonder Woman #9, even at like a 4 or 4.5, you're looking closer to like anywhere between $1,000 to $1,200. Conversely, my 1.8 X-Men is 5 times as valuable as this book, which doesn't make any sense here. But it's kind of like that double-edged sword, because we don't put these books back out in the wild like that for the value of the books to be driven up via speculation like that. It makes it 10 times harder to not only have the collection but to really value it for what it is. Yeah, but here's if what I wonder, and yes, cheeky, shouldn't DC books be more in the wild in the West Coast as DC? Technically, that is a misnomer. The reason I say that is because DC just recently moved out to the West Coast. DC, I believe, moved to the West Coast back whenever conversions happened. So that would have been like 2015, 2014. So that's just recently. So they were East Coast for the longest. So that's also another reason why I kind of like poo-poo the regional aspect of it here, because it's more along the lines. It's like finding the right collectors that are willing to part with it, and Wonder Woman collectors are few and far between. And yes, there are a lot more women who collect Wonder Woman as well. And that was kind of like one of the things. Yeah, I see. Yeah, that was one of the things that was brought to my attention about a lot of the golden and silver age, because you had a lot of girls collecting Wonder Woman back then. It is a good possibility that a lot of those issues were tossed and trashed. Not, and when I say tossed or trash, I talk about released, refuse, not as far as bad condition or anything. Because if they were still in bad condition, they're still available to be purchased, and that adds on to the availability. But no, I talk about thrown away, lost to time. With that being stated here, if a lot of those issues were lost to time because of that, then those who do happen to run across those issues will hold on to it just because they know that they're few and far between. But that's the crux of it for the most part here, James. From my point of view as a Wonder Woman collector, it's not the fact that collections don't have them. They may have the random, Bronze Age, a lot of the modern stuff from Perez to now, but the Silver Age stuff, we hold on to them for some reason. It's just that way, and it's not really a regional thing. It's just more of an availability. I mean, even now, I go out to Heritage and I see the same. And I hate to say it, the same issues of Wonder Woman just recycling there. Granted, I want to get like Wonder Woman 8, the presidential one where she ran for president. I want to get that one. I want to get a Wonder Woman 1. And I came across a Wonder Woman 1 for purchase one time in my life. And at one time in my life that I came across that Wonder Woman 1 for purchase, I was in college. There's no way in the world that I had 20 grand for a Wonder Woman 1. But that was my only opportunity here. And Jake is saying, well then, so regional availability of older comics should be more prevalent on the East Coast. By his logic, yes. By his logic, yes. But that's what I'm refuting. It's not about region. It's about how collectors, especially of certain books, hold on to those books until it's a dire need, especially when it comes to Wonder Woman, because we know that Wonder Woman books are harder to replace. I could sell this X-Men 1 and I know I could pick up that X-Men 1 later on down the road. Why? Because there are a lot more of them available. This Wonder Woman 9, not so much. And the Wonder Woman 9s that I see out there that's available, are either my grade or above, and they go for a lot of money, and they rarely stay in circulation. But that's the key thing here. That's the yeah, as in likelihood. Yep. Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's just one of those things that just have happened. So, James, I hope that I answer your question the best of my ability here. And I hope that you didn't mind, me doing kind of like a mini show here, because we did a 30-minute, kind of like a 30-minute spiel here. So I hope that you didn't mind that we kind of expanded it out a little bit more here. But I hope that it kind of informs you here. I really don't think it's a regional thing as far as more on the West Coast as opposed to the East Coast. It may be more Wonder Woman collectors that have these books on the West Coast because of moving and such. But it's just more along the lines that we, as Wonder Woman collectors, we hold on to these books until we really need to get rid of them. So you have to either really do some major arm twisting to get these books away from us, or you have to wait until we die out. And if we do die out, who knows where they may end up. So that's kind of like the gist of it here. So, and it looks like Jake said, yeah, it's curious, but play ball with me on this here. With the East Coast, there's a lot of lost spaces, and maybe there's still undiscovered boxes in those. Yeah, you never know. You never know, because that argument, Jake, here is what we said about Action Comics 1 and Detective Comics. Who knows that there might be a box out there with a whole bunch of Sensation Comics #1, or a whole bunch of All-Star Comics 8, or even, dare I say, Wonder Woman 1. You just don't know. It just have not been discovered. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but I'm also saying that it's not impossible. We just don't know. It would just take the right people to do the right type of digging and snooping around, and eventually they might run into something like that. So on that note, I'm going to bid you guys adieu here. Thanks again, James from Midhunter Comics, for allowing me to do this video, if I could say, not even a reaction, but a response to your question here. And I hope that it edifies you, that it educates you to a couple of things here. And until this Saturday, live life, grow, and be well. And I'll catch you guys Saturday on a full blown episode of From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. Until then, good night.